The cell phone use, Rose has written a lot about cell phone use, and our procedure is an absolute prohibition on any cell phone use when operating any TriMet vehicle. In fact, our policy is very clear. They can't even have like a Bluetooth or anything else in their ear, even if it's turned off. The answer is they may not have it. The recommendation that came forward felt that we should also have a further step by recommending that any personal device is not only both turned off and stowed away in personal belongings, in a backpack or a pouch while on duty. And that is an additional step that we likewise say, good idea. I mean, they could have had it in their pocket, turned off, but we said, no, it's got to be stowed away, turned off, stowed away. In the bus operator training area, and again, I'm just hitting some highlights, but I want to give you a flavor for the type of recommendations that are coming forward and such. Right now, we do a lot of training, not only initial training, but a lot of ongoing training. On the rail side, we actually do have our operators receive an annual recertification. On the bus side, we don't do a formal certification process. The recommendation is that you should at least biannually, if not annually, to be able to have actually a formal recertification. We agree, and we will be implementing that. The other areas that I think are maybe important is that we need to be able to do, we call them observation rides. This is when an individual not known to the operator will be riding the vehicle, making sure that everything is actually, the operator is operating as indicated. The recommendation is that we should include one announced and one unannounced test per year. That will require us to be able to do some negotiation as a part of our labor agreement, or some discussion, I should say. We think that's very important as well. Let me turn to those issues that are maybe closer to the tragedy on April 24th, and that is turns. There are no existing federal regulations right now that dictate the speed at which an operator will, in fact, to be able to negotiate a turn. Generally speaking, as they have looked at right turns, and this is oftentimes that hook turn is what has been considered a risky turn. The work that's come out of the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration, indicates making a right turn should be no more than 5 miles per hour, and in addition, a certain number of feet from the curb as well. Our training materials are clear that we expect that any turn, right or left, at an intersection, that is a full 90-degree turn, should be not at any higher than 5 miles per hour. Although we have not yet seen the police investigation that has come from the accident on the tragedy on the 24th, it was reported in the news that the police have concluded that that turn speed was somewhere between 12 and 14 miles per hour. Our requirement is no more than 5 miles per hour, obviously violated in that case. On left turns, the study also found that early evidence indicated that if there were some kind of audible warning, a beeping or a voice alert warnings coupled with greater focus on the training, that left turn collisions can be reduced. They do believe, this is the national safety expert, the individual that's been that has produced this report, indicates that there's very little hard information out there. That this more technology needs to be able to be developed, need to be able to understand better how it really works, and does it produce. The greater Cleveland area actually does have a left turn program, as well as a handful of others, but this is not something that's very extensive. Obviously, we're going to be looking at this very hard and wanting to be able to have whatever works best to be able to warn individuals. Certainly has been suggested also that do you really want to be able to restrict pedestrian flow where there are left turns? That is, that there is a red light for any activity if there are pedestrian movements, and then a left turn arrow that also has a prohibition on pedestrian activity, but that the left turn can only be on that green arrow. That is at some intersections, but is this something that should be at many more intersections? That's something obviously that would involve the City of Portland or any of the other jurisdictions in which we operate if that was to be done on a uniform, widespread basis. But again, these are areas that the recommendation from the safety expert is needs to be explored further. We'll be doing that exploring and determining what best to be able to do. One of the other things that the safety expert did speak to is what is our internal urgent review process. This is where, if anything untoward happens on the system, you've heard from Mrs. Sturdy about it in relationship to the rail activity. The finding of the expert was that we really have a best in the state of the transit world process that is there. And as he indicated, it was quickly evident that few properties had anything comparable to this process. So we think the process is good, but obviously what we want to do is make sure that we continue to be able to refine that. So overall, I think the conclusion was his conclusion was that our commitment to be able to continuously improve safety really is something that is exactly what any system should do. Not all do, but that they were very complimentary of that process. But we really welcome those that I've highlighted, but many others of the what would be more minor issues, but things that continually, when adding up, make that system as safe as possible.